Hey everybody, Aaron Blaise, and welcome to Lightbox 2020. We are doing a special, we're doing our regular Friday live stream, but we're also including Lightbox today, and we are so excited about it. Unfortunately, Lightbox is a great event that we went to last year in person, and obviously this year, because of the corona, we couldn't do it be there in person, and so Bobby Chu, who's in charge of Lightbox and kind of the brain, this is his whole brainchild, he came up with the idea of doing it online, and so here we are. This is our first talk. We're doing several talks throughout the weekend. So today I am going to be giving you guys a lecture on my approach to doing animal character design. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really happy you guys are here. Today is Friday, September 11th. It's the day that we also remember all the folks that we lost 19 years ago. And so let's do something good today. Let's put some beauty back into the world and honor them by doing that. And hopefully you guys are going to learn something. So I'm really excited about that. Also, we've got a whole bunch of really great special discounts and offers and all kinds. I got cat hair on my mouth. Yeah. I was petting the cat earlier. We've got all kinds of great discounts and special offers and all kinds of stuff in honor of Lightbox over on our website. And so if you want to go over and get some special deals, some discounts, then go to creatureartteacher.com/LBX2020. I know that's a mouthful, but just go to creatureartteacher.com/LBX2020, and you're going to see all kinds of really cool stuff there. Nick spent a lot of time putting that page together, and it came out pretty darn nice, if I do say so myself.
It is quite nice.
It is quite nice,
It is quite nice.
It's quite nice. And as usual, I've got my son Dustin here with me, and he's gonna be helping work through this whole thing. And and also I want to let you guys know that we have prints available. We got the print slide for that. There we go.
There we go.
We've got some really cool discount prints available for you guys if you want to go check that out over at the same place, over at creatureartteacher.com/LBX2020.
You're quite nice.
You're quite nice. So we got that. And also, I'm so excited. So Dustin and I have been working on this for the last 4 months, and we have created the biggest course yet.
Feels like 40 years more than 4 months.
I know. Well, the whole Corona thing.
Right.
But we've been working on this for quite a while, and I think it's going to be around 35 hours of content, probably. But it's my Birds of Prey course. We've been getting requests for this course for probably the last, I don't know, at least 2 or 3 years.
At least.
And so I finally got around to making it, and we kind of bit off more than we could chew. I realized really quickly as we started making it that doing a whole course on birds of prey was probably too big, because within birds of prey you've got eagles, you've got hawks, you've got falcons, you've got accipiters, you've got owls, you've got vultures, you've got all kinds of stuff, kites. And so we tried to get as many of the representatives of each one of those as I could, and so it turned into a really big course. But I'm really happy with it. We had a great time making it, and it's finally available for pre-order. So go on over and check that out. And now what is it? Just go over to creatureartteacher.com. It's going to be on the front page. I couldn't remember if we had a backslash.
Gotcha.
But anyway, so that's that. But without further ado, I want to go ahead and jump in and talk to you guys about my approach to doing animal character design. We don't have to switch it over. Oh, I didn't know if you were switching it over.
Right, yeah.
But as many of you, I just wanted to, for those of you that are new coming in that don't know me, my name is Aaron Blaise, and I worked with Walt Disney Feature Animation for 21 years, starting in for about 22 years because I interned as well, starting in 1988. And I left in 2010, so I was lucky enough to be around kind of during the whole new Renaissance time. And we created Beauty and the Beast, and Aladdin, The Lion King, Pocahontas, Mulan, all the good stuff from the 90s. And I had the wonderful opportunity to work on all those films, and as an animator, as a supervising animator, and also as a director. And so over the years, I've always been interested in animals. As many of you know, if not all of you know, that I'm very much in love with drawing animals, any kind of animal. I just came out with drawing birds of prey. And for those of you that don't know, I've also got lots of other how to draw animal courses on my website, including horses, bears, big cats, wolves, coyotes, foxes, all kinds of stuff. But anyway, over the years, I've had the opportunity to create some characters for Disney as well. So that are animal characters, such as Nala, young Nala from The Lion King. I was able to create her. Actually, if you've got, can you hand me the maquette, Dustin?
Yes.
There we go.
Nice and gentle now.
Yes. So there she is. There's young Nala in our little maquette. And I was able to create her. I created Rajah for Aladdin. And so over the years, I've been able to kind of not come up with a formula, because it's not a formula. It's actually quite simple. But I have a method of designing characters that are animals. And it really just comes down to understanding your research, doing your research, understanding your anatomy, and then being able to caricature that anatomy. So it really does come down to filling your brain with knowledge first, and then applying design principles and that sort of thing. So I'm going to talk about that today. But anyway, I want to back up from that. So over the years, I was able to, back in the old days, we didn't have just character designers all the time. A lot of the times, the supervising animators, when we were doing hand-drawn animation, were responsible for designing the characters that they were going to animate as well. And that's what we did. So we would get together, let's say on Aladdin or on The Lion King, and each supervising animator would be designing for a few months leading up to actual production on the show their characters. And then we would get together and have meetings and discuss them. Well, back during Aladdin and The Lion King, there was no internet, there was no video conferencing or anything like that, and we were split up into two different studios. We had a studio in Florida where I was. There was also the main headquarters, the studio in Los Angeles. And so we would often just fly. I would spend weeks and weeks in California with my counterparts over there, and my colleagues, and we would design our characters. And so I'm going to take you through some of these drawings that I did while we were there. And so that is about it, I think. And we'll just go ahead and jump in.
I actually got a personal question about, so you worked in the two separate studios for like single projects and things like
Yes, yeah.
that? How would you guys transfer footage over to each other? Would you guys just ship them and like wait a couple of days? Or?
So that's a good question, Dustin. So so there's no internet. You couldn't send digital files. There's no such thing as digital files back then. And so like if I was designing, if I was doing some initial designs and I wasn't in California, I would do, and you'll see some of these sheets that I did, and I'd number the drawings. I'd do I don't know, let's say 10, 15 drawings. And they'd all have to be numbered, and I would Xerox them, and then we would set up a FedEx package, and I'd send all the Xeroxes to Los Angeles, and I'd have to wait till the next day, and then I would have a meeting on the phone with the directors, and they would talk about number 1 or number 3. Number 3 looks good, but it has too big of a nose, or number 5 is good, and I'd have the drawings on my end corresponding, and I could make adjustments, and that's how we did our meetings. And then later on, when we did the animation, we would actually shoot our animation and put them on 3/4 inch tape, videotape. A VHS is 1/2 inch tape. We had bigger, higher resolution tapes, and we put all. Let's say I did a rough animation of a shot. I'd shoot it, and put it on tape. Then we'd pack it up in FedEx, send it out to California, and then I'd have a meeting set up the next day where I could go over it with the directors, and if I had notes, then I'd have to go back, reanimate, reshoot it, repackage it, send it back out. That's how we did it, and it was amazing. We got anything done that way.
Was there like a schedule of like when when the deadline is to
Yes.
get it all into
Yeah,
the FedEx
so-
for everyone to ship it
So we would try to get everything out on Thursdays
on Thursday?
because approvals were on Fridays. So we tried to get everything out on Thursday and get it out to California. The California colleagues, they had the luxury of being able to work right up until Friday.
Right.
But we had to get everything out on Thursday. Everything was shifted a day for us. And then we'd get it out there and we'd have our meetings with the directors. And hopefully you'd get your shot approved because then you'd hit quota and you could go on and do the next shot.
And back then, was the shipping price part of the budget?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And we had, I mean, by the time we hit Lion King, we had video conferencing.
Yeah.
It was a very special thing. Not many places had it. And it was super expensive. Like crazy,
Yeah.
crazy expensive.
I'm
Yeah.
sure it made things a whole lot easier.
Oh, yeah. So,
On to the next.
oh, how was it working with Tab Murphy? I loved working with Tab Murphy. Tab and I are actually close friends. We haven't talked to each other in a long time, but he and I, we're cut from the same cloth. We're kindred spirits. We really are. He just loves the outdoors as much as I do, and animals. And so, when we got together to write Brother Bear, he wrote the first draft of the screenplay. We just really had a great time. Like I said, we really hit it off. I would go out to California to meet with him, and he lived in Toluca Lake, and we would just get together at his place and kick back and just write all day. Come up with, well, we wouldn't write, but at that point we would kick around the story ideas and build the story, and then he would go away and write what we came up with. So working with Tab Murphy, who was the original writer for Brother Bear, was absolutely wonderful. It was just a fantastic experience. I love the guy. And we finally found each other on Facebook, and he's always in Montana or Wyoming or Banff up in the Canadian Rockies or wherever, and I'm always jealous of, the last time I saw him he was rafting down the Snake River in Wyoming.
Okay.
Anyway, but
Lucky.
all right, so I'm going to lose your questions because I'm going to jump over to Keynote, and I want to just give probably about a 20-minute lecture. And so I'm going to lose the ability to see your questions because Keynote takes over every one of my monitors, and I haven't figured out how to not have it do that. So I'm just going to do this really quick, and then once we get through this initial presentation, then I thought we could sit down and I could do some drawing with you and talk about the things I think about. I've got some photographs from my last trip that Nick and I took together, along with our other friends, Manny Kraskow and some of our other friends. We went to Africa, Kenya specifically, the Masai Mara even more specifically, back in October. And I got a lot of great photos from that trip, and I thought it might be fun to use those photos as reference. And plus, I've got a lot of lion knowledge in my head already, and we could do some new character design from that. I thought it'd be kind of fun. But let me go ahead and hit this. All right, Dustin, now we can switch over.
All right. Hopefully it's working.
Yep. Well, you'll be able to see on your computer.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
so this is my approach to doing character design. I don't think I'm not going to show up in the corner, am I? I don't need to be in the corner.
Oh, you don't need to be in corner?
Yeah. I don't know if that makes a difference, but
I just switched it over.
okay. So my approach to doing animal character design, like I said, it really boils down to just having knowledge, just doing the research. And so I want to talk about Aladdin a little bit and some of the stuff we did there. That was the first time that I was given a character. I had just come off of Beauty and the Beast, and I was working under Glenn Keane, who is the supervising animator of The Beast. And he was really generous and really gave me some beautiful, really meaty shots, whole sequences in the film that allowed me to really show my stuff, to show what I was able to do. And I really developed as an animator during that film. I was young. I was 23 years old, 22, 23 years old. And so I was eager, and I grew immensely as an artist and an animator during Beauty and the Beast. And so as a result, when I went on to Aladdin, they thought I was ready to have my own character. It was a small role, very small as a matter of fact. But it was my own character, and I was excited, and I wanted to make it as great as I could make it. And so that's the character of Rajah. I was working with Mark Henn, who is another Florida animator, who is probably our best animator at the studio. And Mark always got the big roles. He had Jasmine. He did a lot of the princesses. So he did Jasmine and Aladdin, and so they wanted he and I to work together. And so he and I quite often, and from film to film, we had characters that were together on the film. And so in Aladdin it was Rajah, and then he had Jasmine, and there we are. There's Mark, sitting at my desk, and I've got a beautiful mullet. And some of you have already heard me talk about this. If you've been to my persistence of vision lectures, then you've heard me talk about this a little bit. So it might be a little bit of a repeat for you, but for others this will be new. But here we are. We're sitting at my desk, and I've still got that. Dustin right now is sitting at this desk that's in the photo. Isn't that weird?
That is weird.
Yeah. At this time, you were about 2 years old, I think. But there I am. I've got braces, a mullet, and a purple tank top. And I knew it was photo day, so I don't know why I did that. But there it is. And so there's our characters. And so it was really just a great experience. And so once again, I want to stress is the amount of research. I wanted to create a tiger. One of the great things that I think Disney, Pixar, DreamWorks, Blue Sky, I think one of the great things that they do is that they take the time, they create characters that are believable. They create worlds that immerse you, okay? Especially Disney and Pixar. And the only way you can do that is to really immerse yourself into the study of what those characters are. And if you're doing an animal character, you really do need to understand that animal. I don't care if you're doing SpongeBob SquarePants. Go out and study sponges. I don't care how broad it is that you're going to be. You're going to learn things that you can bring to the table that you wouldn't have known otherwise. And so in this case, especially with a Disney film where it's semi-real, especially in the approach with Rajah and Lion King, I wanted to draw real tigers. And so one day we brought in a tiger cub, and there is 23-year-old me, and about 100 pounds ago, drawing this little tiger cub, and he kept falling asleep in my hand. He was so cute. And the other funny note on this is that we had our studio was also an attraction. We worked at the Florida studio at MGM Studios in Disney World, and so you can see in the background people on the other side of the glass. We had about 10,000 people a day that would come through and watch us work. And so we would just go about our normal day, but we always had kind of living wallpaper. We had people on the other side of the glass watching us. It was a very bizarre experience, but you got used to it. But anyway, I really wanted to understand these tigers, and so we brought tigers into the studio, like you can see here. There's Mark Henn over on the left, and Alex Cooper-Schmidt, who animated the hyenas. He also animated Stitch. He animated Coda. He animated Khan. So Alex in the background there has got a lot of credits under his belt as well. We're good friends.
He looks so different from back then compared to where he looks
well,
now.
it's 25 years ago. So, shoot, almost 30 years ago. This is like 1991. I think we were doing this. So this is 29 years ago. Yeah, you were 1 year old when this photo was taken. Wow. And you're 30 in next week, right?
30 next week.
Yeah.
On Wednesday.
So there you
My-
go.
my
That'll tell you how
day.
old this is. But anyway, go ahead.
By the way, you're on screen because people have been asking to see your webcam.
Oh, okay,
So-
gotcha. And so we not only did we bring a tiger into the studio, but I also went to tigers. We had some big cat sanctuaries here in Florida, and I drove to them and got into the cage with the tigers, and not the big adults, but there was one place that had these 3 cubs. They weren't as small as the one that you just saw in this last image here. They're about 3 times the size as that cub. And I thought, oh man, this will be fun. I got in and started playing with them, and they tore me to shreds. I walked out bleeding, bitten, pants ripped, my shirt was ripped, everything. And they were 30-pound cubs. So imagine a 400-pound adult and what they could do. And it's just insane. And so I wanted to be able to get that understanding and get that strength into my characters. And so these are all like little grease pencil China marker drawings that I did of tigers. And I just did. This is just a drop in the bucket. I did hundreds and hundreds of them, wanting to understand their movement, wanting to understand their anatomy, their musculature, all of that. Because when you understand that, once you get it, then you can start to caricature. And so this is what I started doing here. Now, you get all the knowledge. I gathered up as much knowledge as I could about how to draw tigers. And now you have to apply it to the movie that you're working on. Well, every movie has different art direction. And so Aladdin had a very specific art direction to it. And it was very fluid, just very fluid. And so I tried very hard to take the idea of what I had in my head about tigers, which are big and angular and bulky and strong, and then try to get this fluid design in them. And I just really struggled. And these first initial designs, the design was actually taking over the anatomy, and I was ending up with drawings that just didn't work. And I really struggled with it. And these are some early, just very quick pen drawings that I was doing. I struggled with it until one day, and this is the other thing I want you to think about, because you're always going to get inspiration when you least expect it. And so one day I was walking down the street, kind of troubled. I didn't know what I was going to do with the design. I was still struggling with it. And there was this car parked on the side of the road. And as I walked by, I looked at the hood ornament. It was a jaguar. And by the way, I wanted to mention that fluid design I was talking about. In the design, it was designed after a famous caricature artist by the name of Al Hirschfeld. And Al Hirschfeld had this very fluid design. If you look at the genie's design in Aladdin, that's pure Al Hirschfeld, okay? And so I was trying to take that knowledge of tigers and get that into an Al Hirschfeldian feel, and I struggled with it until I was walking down the street and I saw this hood ornament. I saw a jaguar, and I just looked at the fluidity, the grace, and everything else, but it also felt strong. And so I took that as inspiration. And I went back to the studio, and then I started drawing. And right after that, it just started pouring out of me, because I had this idea. If you could look at the drawing at the top, up there, that feels very much like that jaguar emblem, you know? And after that, it just kind of flowed out of me. And so I presented my designs to John Musker and Ron Clements, the directors, and it got approved. And so that's how we came up with Rajah. But it really did start. I wouldn't have been able to do it had I not done that research and study of real tigers. Okay? So like I said, I don't care how broad, how designy, how pushed your designs are going to be. If you need to design a character, whether it's an animal, whether it's a different culture, you need to do the research. The more research you do, the more material you have to pull from mentally. You want to build that mental library. You want to build that mountain of knowledge in your brain so that it becomes second nature and you have a lot to pull from, okay? And I've been studying, the real big cats and animals and that sort of thing for 30 years, and I still go back and if I'm studying, if I'm designing a character, I'll still go back and study even more. So let's go ahead.
Quick question from Barbara Green. What do you mean by art direction? Is that a color scheme and style? Is that what
it's all of that? So the art direction is it's all of it. It's the color scheme. It's the look of. It's basically the look of the film. So in Aladdin, the design, the drawing of the film, the art direction, which is part of it, not the color, but the drawing of it. If you look at the characters, everything is very fluid. Everything has a very fluid design to it. And then there's also a very specific color palette, and there's a lot of different things that go into the umbrella of art direction. But just imagine it's whatever you see on the film, that's the art direction. Okay? So there you go. I'm just going to jump to the next one. There we go. All right. Go ahead. Oh, yeah.
I have one more personal question.
Yeah.
When it came to the image of the drawing of Rajah and Jasmine together, have you usually done that to try to fit your character to
Absolutely.
Other people's characters?
Yep.
Is that a normal technique among animators?
Absolutely.
And directors?
But that's what we would do because we had the art direction of the film. We knew what the film had to look like, and so we would get together. But let's say there's 10 different supervising animators, each with a different character. So we're all designing on our own, but you want those characters to feel like they all belong in the same movie, right?
Right.
So we would get together and have meetings with each other to show our designs, make sure we'd have the art director and the directors there, and we're all talking about whether or not we're hitting the art direction right, and then we put our characters together and make sure that they feel right together as well.
Gotcha.
And so there's a lot of work, a lot of coordination, a lot of communication that goes into that. That's the key. Communication is always key, especially in a studio environment like that. You want to be communicating constantly. You can't work in a vacuum. It just doesn't work. So, lucky for me, after I did Rajah, which is a big cat, the next movie for me was The Lion King. And so, once again, Mark Henn, who did Jasmine, was assigned to do young Simba in the film. And as we all know, young Simba has a little girlfriend named young Nala. And so I was able to design young Nala and animate her. Once again, it wasn't a huge role, but it was a bigger role than Rajah. It was something, I was still, 24, 25, still developing as an animator and really excited to kind of bite into this and take it to the next level. And because Nala's role was somewhat small in the film, I was able to not only do her, but I also did a lot of young Simba. I worked on the two of them together. I also did some adult Simba.
Oh, yeah?
And I did I did Serafina, who's Nala's mother.
Is that from...
Yeah, Serafina's Nala's mother. Like the whole the bath
right.
scene where she's getting licked. When I animated that, I just animated Nala and her mother together. I just did them both on the same page. Tom Bancroft. If you guys know the Bancroft brothers, Tom Bancroft animated Simba in those shots with me. So Tom and I actually worked together a lot on a lot of different shots. When he did Mushu and I did the ancestors in Mulan, so we're always working together on screen. It's kind of fun. We've co-starred together on several films.
On several films.
Yes. So so The Lion King. So The Lion King, the same thing. Oh, and there's the desk again, Dustin. There we are.
Oh,
so
yeah.
there I am about 95 pounds ago, working on The Lion King.
Don't you have that big printed somewhere?
I do. It's around here somewhere. But anyway, that's me working on The Lion King, and it's the same thing. I was assigned to do Nala, and the first thing I did was start looking at real lions and cubs and that sort of thing. And here, a matter of fact, let me see if I can pull these up. Oh, I can't do it right now because we're in presenter mode, but I'll do it later. We actually brought lions to the studio in a much more formal way than we did with Rajah, because Rajah was such a small role in the movie, and it was just me. I was animating the character, so they just brought this tiger in for one day for me. But with Lion King, we actually, as a studio here in Florida, we paired up with the studio in California. We're two separate studios making the same film, but for us, we got to hold all the artists together, and we went to Miami Metro Zoo for 3 days. We all loaded up in buses and went down to Miami and spent 3 days at the Metro Zoo on the back side of the enclosures. And this is right after Hurricane Andrew. So the zoo had just been decimated, torn apart. And so we were kind of helping them get back on the map. We're doing some publicity for them. And but anyway, long story short, we spent a lot of time looking at and drawing animals there. And then here, we brought in lions into the studio. And these are some of my first initial quick sketches of looking at lion cubs. And one of the first things I noticed is, and the same thing with the tiger cub, is even, when you pet a puppy or a kitten, they're soft and they're squishy. A baby lion is solid. Just solid muscle. It's a baby, muscle. But it's rock hard. Yep. And it was the same thing when we brought the bear cubs in for Brother Bear. It's like you want to play with them and they're just take you. And they're just little, but they're little bundles of muscle. And so that's what the lions were. And so they were crazy. But they were a lot of fun. And as you can see, even though these are quick sketches, I was doing studies. I wanted to understand the musculature and the bone structure and all of that. 1993, here we go. So these were done 27 years ago.
And I was around 2-3 years old for that.
Exactly. This guy Chewy, this is about all he did. So he just laid there and just hung out. But he was a great model, and he was kind of young. You could see his mane is kind of scruffy, and so he was still really lean, and so you could see his bone structure pretty well underneath, and so that really helped. Just doing little studies like in the lower right of how the hips and the back legs work and trying to understand that. All of that, it was just an immense help to, for when it came time to actually animate. I knew what I needed to do. And so these are all really early sketches. Understand, here he is, drinking in that lower drawing, that quick sketch, and just understanding how those arms and legs work. It's funny, four-legged animals, because I have so much, I have the comparative anatomy burned into my brain about where their parts compared to our parts.
Right. I
never call them front legs, I always call them their arms. But, so anyway, so from that, I was able to extrapolate and start creating a cartoon character. But within this cartoon character, there's a level of reality. And so what that helps with is it creates believability. That's why those characters, when you watch The Lion King, you're not watching drawings on the screen, you're watching in your mind, you're engrossed into a great story with what feels like real lions on the screen. And that's what we really tried to do. And so, after drawing pass after drawing pass after drawing pass, I was able to whittle this down and get Nala to where she looked like here. This is the Nala that ended up on the screen. And these look like cartoon characters, but when you look at them, look at the one where she's standing on all fours and she's looking away from us. You can see all the research that I did in this. You can see where her hips are. You can see how her ankles, not only it's in her stance, the way her legs are, but the way her ankles come together. That's how a lion stands. Those ankles come together in that way. Look at the shoulder blades. The way the one shoulder blade on the right is pushed up higher than the one on the left, because in my mind, she's got more weight on that shoulder. And so it's these types of little nuances that make it feel like, oh, okay, that's a lion, but you get to a point where you can put it down quickly and simply enough that you strip away all the excess stuff that you don't need, and you keep all the elements that say lion or lion cub in this case. And so then ultimately this was the little character that ended up on the screen right there. And I shared this on social media yesterday. This is I just thought this was really funny, and I wanted to share it with you guys. In the top shot, this is the scene that we were talking about earlier, where Nala is getting her bath. That's Serafina, her mother, giving her the bath, and I animated the two of them throughout this sequence. And then Tom Bancroft did Simba in this shot. And then last October, Nick and I, like I was saying earlier, we were in Kenya and we were on a photographic safari in the Masai Mara, and I photographed this mother giving the cubs a bath. And it's the Lion King in real life. I just thought it was really cool. And but I couldn't have done that animation up in the top had I not done the research and seen back then seen lions doing the real deal. So I just thought that was kind of cool how it just history repeats itself.
And
so there we go.
And when it came to Tom with Simba and with you with Nala, how often were you guys sitting down and coordinating between your guys' designs between the two? Because they look so similar together.
Yeah, well, Mark and I, we designed our characters. Well, actually, you can go back to the full screen here. Yeah. Mark and I, we designed our characters together. So Mark was designing Simba, I was designing Nala. So often we would sit in a room together and draw, and we'd be looking at each other's drawings. And Mark was the lead. Mark has 15 more years of experience than I do. And so he was a mentor to me as well, and so I would follow his lead. He would be designing Simba, and I was designing Nala to fit in the same world as Simba, not the other way around.
Gotcha.
Okay. So anyway, so that's our general approach. I mean, it really does come down to spending the time. Anytime I talk about character design, which, by the way, if you're interested in more character design, I've got an entire course on character design at my website at creatureartteacher.com. And I talk about, I get much more in depth into the principles and everything else. But one of the main things that I hit when I am talking about character design before you draw, before you do anything, is you do your research. And it's two kinds of research. You do the research into, let's say if you're doing an animal like a lion or a tiger, you want to research those animals. But then there's also the research of your character in the script. Understand those characters. Get to know them before you start to draw them. So that you're drawing a personality, you're not drawing a thing, if that makes sense, okay? And that's that. But I thought, in this case, we're just going to have to take a leap of faith, because we are going to be doing some character designs from scratch, and we don't really have a story per se. But we could maybe pull something from a story if we wanted to, I guess.
Yes.
I guess. What's an animal story? Well, let's go back to we'll go back to the lions.
All right.
I want to pull up. Let me pull up. Oh, look at this guy. This is a wild lion. That's how close I was. I shot this with my telephoto, but I was only about 20 feet away from him, sitting in the Land Rover.
And there's one thing that...
Oh, let me turn off my notifications. I keep hearing this.
There's one thing that you constantly see with the lions, and it's hundreds of flies on their faces.
Always, yes.
The
flies are everywhere. The flies will drive you nuts while you're there. They just do. Oh yeah, let me pull this back up. So yeah, Twitch question. So Nala and Simba are cousins? Yep, pretty much. If you know how prides work, they could even be brother and sister. But no, let's not go there.
No.
No, actually, they are cousins, because there's Serafina and there's Sarabi. Yeah, so they're cousins.
And Martin Berger is asking, can we download this the presentation after the stream? That would be very cool to be able to study the drawings.
Yes, you can watch this after the stream. We'll have it up on YouTube and everywhere else. So you'll definitely be able to check that out. So a lion, for instance, I've got a really great shot of a lion in here. This is one of the first lions we saw, and he just posed so nice for us. There he is. Look at this guy. He's not like a dominant adult yet, but he was big. He was a big dude. Look at it.
He's a big boy.
Look at that guy. Just awesome.
Beauty.
Beauty. Beauty. Beauty. And there's the lioness. They were hanging out together.
I got another question from Rowan Descar. I think I pronounced that right. Hopefully I did.
We got thunder coming in, so you're going to hear some rain.
How do you know which features to exaggerate?
That's exactly right.
Such as Nala having big eyes and ears. How do you translate that into making her look youthful?
Well, that's exactly what it is. There's certain things that... Okay. The question is specifically, how do you make her look youthful? Well, there's certain things that are universal across the board, whether it's a baby lion, a baby bunny, or a baby human, that translate to being young. And this is actually in my character design course. Let me show you this. This is really interesting. I've always thought it was interesting. Let's say we've got normally a human, if you do this, so the radius of the circle, you double that radius and you've got basically a head right there. And that's basically an adult proportion. Now if you split that in half, there's your eye line. And your eyes are usually one eye width apart and one eye width from the sides. So there's your eyes. I'm going to draw this very quick. There's our nose right here, the underside of the nose, like so. Let's cut. So that's in half. Let's cut this in half. There's our mouth line, lips, and then chin. So that, and then here we can get cheekbones. The ears are usually between the eyes and the nose. Okay, so that's very quickly, and then we can have more angled for a male on the jaw, a little more rounded for female. But in general, these are adult proportions. Okay. Now, youthful proportions are this. Let's draw that head again. Now, with the radius coming down like that, rather than doubling that radius, you might have the chin down here, right about here. and a little chunkier, more rounded. Now let's drop that eye line down here. It's not halfway down, it's down low, like so. And let's make those eyes a little bigger, like so. Now that little, you put a little nose in here, and then a little mouth. Now all of a sudden, all we did was change proportions, but now all of a sudden we've got a baby, right? That's all we've done. And so it's the same thing with animals. You know, I can do this, or I can do this. Let's change it up and go, hey, let's do this. So it's kind of the same thing. But that being said, so with a lion, you know, you've got adult lion proportions, but then we can do young lion proportions. Once again, that circle and those little cheeks coming off like so. And in this case, they've got a little snout. Big eyes. Like that. And a little snout here. Maybe pull those cheeks out even more. And they have kind of bigger ears, like so. That's a caricature. There's our little Nala. Like so. I haven't drawn her in a while. A little rusty.
Little rusty.
A little rusty. So let me go back to our photos. So look at the proportion on the adult lions. Here's the adults right here. You can see the proportion. See how high the eye line is? The size of that muzzle, the ear proportion. Now let's go back to one of the younger cubs. Look at this this guy right here. Look at the size of the ears. Look how small the muzzle is. A slightly bigger cranium in proportion. These are all baby proportions. And this isn't. This is a cub about the age of Simba in the movie, maybe a touch older. But there you go. Let's see if I've got some other ones in here.
Manuel Ramirez asks, how do I design a character whose personality is the total opposite of mine? Very often, too much of myself goes into my characters.
Well, you have to really. You can still project yourself. You can still. You can be inspired by other character. You can be. I'm sorry. I just saw a note from Nick. I got sidetracked. You can be inspired by other characters that you've seen before. There's people we know in our lives that might fit that character. You definitely want to put yourself into it, but you know, we're not all evil Darth Vaders, for instance. But you can write Darth Vader. You know, there's times where you can feel the emotion that he's feeling, and so you have to project yourself into it.
I am your father.
Yes. So once again, let's go to a lion. So I want to draw what you know a real lion is somewhat. So lions tend to, let me move it over here. I'm going to go very quickly. So a real lion, they tend to, I'm going to draw along the back. They tend to walk with their head slightly down, like so. The head comes here and then comes down like that. You have a break in the forehead. That's one of the things that makes a cat a cat. You know, if you look at, this might be a repeat for some of you, but if you look at this angle and then draw a forehead and draw this and then the muzzle, you know that's a cat. If we draw this and top of the head, forehead, and then make these two lines parallel. See how these two lines right here are different directions. But if you make these two lines parallel in the muzzle, then what do you got? You got a dog. So there's a dog and there's a cat. That's basically the difference. You just change the proportions. Even on a dog that's got a short nose, like a bulldog or something like that, it's still a dog because these lines are parallel like that. All right, let me show you. Hand me the wolf skull.
This one?
Mm-hmm. So once again, these are things you discover. Almost lost it. These are things you discover by doing your research. Go to the full screen. So if you were able to see this, if you're able to see the dog fully out, here's the top of the top plane of the head, and then the top plane of that snout. They're parallel. You can see that. This is a wolf skull. All right. Now, here's the big boy. Here's a lion skull. This is a lion right here. Here's the top plane of that head right there. And then what happens? Look at that direction. It comes down. They're not parallel. That comes down like that. Every cat is like that, even your house cat. So there's a line. Let me have that leopard. Right there. No, to the right. Right there. Yep. The leopard is even more so. So here's a leopard skull, quite a bit smaller than that lion, huh? But here it comes out. Here's another example. Hand me the coyote, right in the middle. Yep. So now we're back to a canid. Canids are dogs. Now we're back to the canid. Here, the smaller version of that wolf. There's the plane of the head. And then the plane of it's slightly down on this one, but you can see it's basically the same, okay? So that's one little thing that you'll notice. And it's just a basic thing, but it's interesting how universal it is across the board from species to species. YouTube question. I noticed that animal characters from animation often have a triangular-like shape around the eyes. Is that the eye cavity? Is that to keep the eyes turned to the front? Not necessarily a triangular shape, but there is definitely a shape. Let me show you what. Let me finish this, and then I'll go into that, because I am going to get into. I want to get into the eyes and expressions, and how we bring a little bit of we anthropomorphize our characters. There's certain elements that even if we're drawing realistic animals, there are certain elements that we bring in that that are distinctly human, and it's the way we read emotion. So here we got this cat coming in like this. Now here's another bit. As I'm drawing, remember I was talking about I'm talking about the front arms, their arms. Well, here is the front left arm of a lion walking along, singing a song, like so, okay? Here's the forearm, all those muscles that going to wrap over there we go. I'm just going to wrap over towards the wrist. We have the same muscles, same kind of rhythm to the arm. And then up here, you've got triceps. Biceps are way on the inside, so you don't really see it, but you do have the deltoid right here. The shoulder blade is in here. Shoulders right there, just like we have. Triceps is the back of the arm. The muscles in the back of the arm have the same thing here. So you learn right away that we all have the same parts. We're just proportioned differently. Okay?
By the way, Uncle Travis,
Travis?
awesomeness came in right at the perfect time. Good explanation of the skull structure between dogs and cats.
Yes, thank you. So here's this muscle right here that comes from underneath the armpit and goes all the way up into the back and wraps into the back right here and goes into the fascia. This is all the fascia. All this muscle right here. This is your latissimus dorsi. So that's all that muscle right here. The latissimus, the lats. The muscles under the arms. Those are the muscles that you use in order to do pull-ups. When you see a swimmers or big bodybuilders, that's the muscle that when you see them turned around, they're in the shape of a V. Those big muscles. Well, they're very developed. Humans can develop them very well. You'll see them developed on apes a lot. You'll also see them developed a lot on big cats. Now, why is that? Let's talk about muscles. And this is, once again, this all goes into research. And once you start to understand the stuff that you're researching, it's going to make its way into your designs. Especially real world, scientific, this kind of stuff. It really does help. So thinking about musculature, thinking about the latissimus dorsi. Why does a cat have, in wolves, no, actually not wolves, they don't have it, but cats do, the developed latissimus dorsi. Well, what happens if you have muscle right here and you can see the direction I drew those striations in the muscle. Muscle contracts along those striations. They pull in. That's what all a muscle does is contract and relax. And so if I want to pick something up, go to the full screen. If I want to do a curl, if I want to do like dumbbells and curl, or if I want to pick something up, what has to contract in order to do that? Well, it's my bicep muscle. The bicep muscle has to contract in order to, the tendon connects here and here, and it pulls it up like so, okay? So it's the same thing with any muscle on the body. If I want to close my hand, then my muscles in my forearm and my hand contract in order to pull it in. So those are my flexors, and then if I want to open my hand, in order to bring that way, these muscles have to contract up top here. So these are my extensors. What's happening? I'm extending my fingers. These are my extensors and my flexors, okay? So that's what's happening on the arm. So now let's go to the latissimus. What does a cat do when cats are predators, right? And lions especially, what do? They're going to jump onto the back of a zebra, and they're going to grab on, and they're going to hold on, right? They're pulling in tight. And so this muscle is what's enabling me to pull in back muscles, and my latissimus muscle, that's the muscle that enables me to give someone a bear hug, or enables me to pull up like this. And so you're going to see them very, very developed on a cat like that.
And are you also working that muscle when you're slowly bringing the dumbbell back down?
Yeah, you're relaxing, slowly relaxing the muscle.
Bringing it down.
Exactly.
And that's contracting the back.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yep. So here. So there's that shoulder blade in there, and a lot of muscles connected in there. And then our trapezius muscle comes in and connects into the shoulder blade here, the neck muscle. Jared on Twitter says, learning so much. My son, 5, wants to be a wildlife artist, and he's enamored as well. Thanks for the great demo and talk. You are welcome. So here I want to draw through, and I'm bringing this back. Now, a cat, one of the things I've learned is, once again, we have all the same parts, but they're proportioned differently. So a cat, they've got a hand, except move that thumb up a little bit, okay? And shorten your fingers, like this. And so if we're looking on this side, it's that dew claw. We know, you've heard of the dew claw on a dog and on a cat. The dew claw is your thumb. And then here's the other fingers down here, okay? So there we go. So here's the cat walking there. And here, from right here, there's our pelvis. This is another thing too that you're going to learn. This area, there's the skull. That's rigid. Here's the vertebrae in the neck. You can move your neck, so that's flexible. The vertebrae in the top part of the back, between the shoulder blades, those vertebrae are fused, so that's rigid. And then all of a sudden you get just below that, down to the top of the pelvis, this area right here, and that becomes flexible, right there. Then you get to the pelvis, rigid. And then what do you have after that? The tail, flexible. So you have this alternating rigid, flexible, rigid, flexible, rigid, flexible setup that go through the body. Now, why is that important? Well, because when it comes to posing your animated character, you want to put them in a pose that's believable. And if you understand the rigid and flexible areas of a cat, let's say we're animating a tiger or a lion, then you're going to be able to put it into a more realistic, believable pose. Research is what comes in and helps. So here, The femur connects about there. We come into the knee. And here's a little bit that I learned from Glenn Keane. I was having trouble drawing. Let me shrink this up a little bit. I was having trouble getting the rhythm right on a dog's leg. And he gave me this lesson. It's not always true, but as an artist, it really helps. Think of a leg like this. We got these two parts, and then we got a foot. Okay, there's our back leg. So we've got a thigh, we got the calf, we've got the ankle right here, we got the metatarsals here, and then we got the foot. All right. If you think about this, the femur, and then the metatarsals right here, if you keep them parallel, your leg will always look right. And what do I mean by that? Well, here it's kind of squatting, but what if we want to stretch that leg? Well, let's draw the femur here. We'll draw the calf. Here's a knee. Now I want to keep this line parallel with the metatarsals right there. So now if I draw on the outside, we got the knee. This is like that. So you can draw that leg. But what if we want to go, there's the femur, calf. Now let's draw that parallel. Keep it parallel with this line. Like that. So now, here's the leg coming down to the knee. You got the muscle on top, so it's going to stretch there. Comes in, you're going to have a little bunching of the skin in here. And then here, that comes in, you got a bunching of the skin on here. And then the foot. See there? So you can see if you go from 1, 2, 3, you can see that how that stretches by keeping this line and this line parallel. All right. So that's just another. It's as I draw lions. These are all little tidbits of information that I've learned over the years that make their way. These are things we talked about when we were animating our characters, and so. I learned this. That's now I remember. I was having trouble. You never know where it's going to manifest itself. I was having trouble getting the rhythm right when I was drawing the beast, drawing his legs. And specifically, it was in the, there's something there that wasn't there before. That whole song, I animated that song. And so he's squatting and he's waddling and, he's doing a lot of stuff. And when I was animating it, I was struggling with it. I couldn't quite figure it out. And so Glenn sat me down and he gave me this little lesson right here about back legs. And as soon as I learned that, light bulbs went off. Light bulb. Lots of light bulbs went off, and then I was able to animate that sequence. Okay, so it's those, but then, later on when it came to drawing for The Lion King, I had that information as part of my library in my brain, and so I was able to translate that into cats as well. Okay, so anyway, there's that. So I'm going to finish this out right here real quick. So anyway, this is a real lion, and then here's this is a female, and as she's walking, her foot is passing through like so. There's the foot on the back side coming through. Now it can be a female like this, or we can beef it up a little bit, and then you can kind of throw a mane on. The mane comes down along the belly, a little fur on the elbows, and basically here's your real lion, like so. Okay. Now all that knowledge, we've got all that. Now how do we apply it? How are we doing on time? We got about another half hour.
Another half hour.
Yeah, that's a good enough amount of time to start designing. So now let's say we want to do a character that's let's do like a Mufasa type character. He's a strong leader. He's a fair leader. He's Mufasa. A regal Mufasa. I don't want to do Mufasa, but that type of character. But let's say Mufasa was. Let's do something that's a bit more designy. So let's say it's an angular kind of design. Well, what would we do?
How about like the physique of Mufasa, but Scar mixed in there?
What's that?
How about like a mix of Scar and Mufasa together, like the muscular structure of Mufasa, but like the scheme and the
Oh,
Scar
maybe yeah.
of
Okay,
Scar.
let's say he's a battle worn lion.
Battle worn lion.
He's like a Viking, but a lion. And hit that subscribe, but smash that bell. That's from Nick.
Oh, for YouTube.
Yeah. So let's start with the body. So the one thing I'd like to do, I want him to be proud. So what am I going to do? I want to find that gesture. So the first thing I'm going to do is find that.
And for the bones being parallel, is that true for other animals as well?
Well, first of all, it's not true across the board. Even with the dogs and cats and everything, I look at my own dog and though they don't stay parallel, but when I do draw it that way, it looks right. And so that's how I keep it looking right. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much across the board. So here I want to go a bit more angular. And I want like this tough. If you have only hard angles, it's going to get boring because everything you want to balance. That's another thing with good design. All this is going to be in my character design course, but you want balance. So for a lot of hard angles, there's a certain amount of smoothness that I want to have in there to counteract it.
And actually, right off the bat, that silhouette is giving off like a very Greek vibe.
Exactly. So I just scribbled something out really quick, but I don't want. See, this to me feels really parallel, and I don't like parallel. Parallel to me is boring.
Parallel.
Parallel. So what if I do this? Here I've got this hard angle. What if I go like that? Now I've got something that feels kind of cool. And I still want that body to be longer. So now we're just... And I always end up drawing bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I draw right off the page.
Will the Lightbox event over the weekend be streamed on Facebook too?
For us, it will be. So here, I like having that mouth come out like this. Now I want a nice strong jaw. So here we have the corners of the mouth come up, but if we were to draw through the fur, right here, if you look at this, the jaw comes way back here. Way back. When a lion opens its mouth, you can see the corner of the mouth would be right about where the teeth are, but where it actually hinges is way back here. See that? So you can get my head in there.
And crunch.
So, that being said, I want to make sure that I'm thinking about, from an anatomy standpoint, where that jaw is back here getting hinged, so that if I do want to open his mouth, let's say like this, it opens like this, with the mouth way down here, so that the jaw comes back like that. Like so. Seriously though, if you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button and ding the bell. Also, if you hit like and share it, this helps us a lot as well. Nick is reminding me. I get. That's one of the reasons Nick's there, because I get into these drawings and I forget to say some of the other stuff that I need to say. But also, did you learn most of the animal anatomy in art school before going to doing your own research? No, I learned some in art school. I learned stuff when I was in high school. I learned stuff when I was in middle school. I've always been interested in animals, but it's an ongoing process, and I'm still learning. Still learning. So here, I'm trying to come up with a nice angular thing here. Now, one of the other things is this dark. Where are we? Right here. Let me go back to our lions. Those dark lips. Right here. Look at that. Look at that the dark lips. That's such a adult lion trait.
Yeah.
Adult male lion trait. So I try to get that in there, even just as a graphic icon, as part of the design before I get anything else. Also, you've got the profile, these cheekbones, and you do have this hollow right here in the cheeks. And so I keep all of that, even though I'm creating something that's designy, I want to keep an understructure that's believable. And I know that if the jawline's here, there's a ton of muscle that comes up. I mean, look at this ridge right here. That cranial ridge right there. That's where all that jaw muscle attaches so they can bite you better.
Bite you better.
And so often my designs start out like this. They're just scribbles. I'm trying to find rhythm. I'm trying to find something that's pleasing, and it's like I'm trying to draw right through the drawing. I'm trying to sculpt it.
Steve Young comments, battle-worn design. So Rocky Balboa as a lion.
Yes, that's a great one.
That's pretty accurate, believe it or not.
Believe it or not. So here, let's give him some big, strong legs. But now look at, all of a sudden now his back end is getting, come down here, and, big, strong epistemius. Now look, see how he's growing?
Does Dustin draw and animate too? I used to growing up, but not anymore. Nowadays I just do photography.
So here I'm drawing some nice big thick, and right now I'm just drawing a silhouette. Thick paws. Let me pull this back even more. We can go even bigger. Now here I can bring the mane up like that. That's kind of cool. I was just going to give him this flat thing going like slicked back. There's something about this that feels really good.
Feels great nice.
It feels great nice.
How in the world were you already working at Disney when you were only 23?
I got hired out of college. So the elbow is down right around where the bottom of the belly would be. So that provides us the ability to put big triceps, shoulder blade, all that in here. And then all of this is going to be fur. Now I can create another thing too, is I've got all this area of busyness underneath the body, so I want to create some nice quiet line work coming through here, like so. Don't be afraid in these first initial stages to get in there and whoops, to get in there and whoops,
And whoops.
and then get in there and whoops.
Just get in there and whoops.
Whoops. To just draw. Just draw it. What am I doing? Oh, I'm grabbing it wrong.
To just whoopsie daisy.
Whoops. Well, I don't want the airbrush eraser.
It's alright to just go whoopsie.
Whoops.
Whoopsie daisy.
Whoops. There we go. On the wrong thing.
I made a bit of a boo-boo there, laddie.
So right here, I'm going to draw our pelvis right there. There's a break there. And I want this leg to come back. Now the knee is going to be right about there. Actually, I'll bring it down more. Right about here.
Nice quiet line worky.
Yeah.
It's quite nice and quiet.
Now notice how I've pushed the length of the ankle. I've pushed it shorter, or I've shortened it for effect.
I love watching you draw and learning from you. I've only recently started practicing art again, and I've already improved so much. Thank you.
You are welcome. So let's bring him over here. We go, now we can draw that. Look at that. We get this nice gesture right through him. Like so. And there's this, the skin between the thigh and the belly that stretches and goes right into the knee. That's really nice when you come to draw it, because it gives you this ability to straighten this right out into the body. So look at this mess we got. But we've got something that I think feels pretty good. I'm going to push that eye up. That always tends to look a little more regal. When you do that, let's make him squint like Clint.
Like Clint?
Yeah, squint like Clint Eastwood. I'm giving him a little bit of a, that cartilage, the cartilage that goes from the nasal opening tends to push out a little bit. I'm pushing it out a little extra just to give him a little bit of a look, kind of this Roman kind of look.
My daughter's genuinely mad because she's doing virtual lessons right now and can't draw lines with me.
So now, we've spent the time kind of working this out. Now I can go in and go, okay, let's take it to the next level. Let's start tying it down a little bit. I'm going to be kind of free with it, but I'm going to get a little more tied down. Warren on YouTube says, so what was it like when Walt Disney came to see you in college? You bastards.
It felt pretty fantastic.
It was fantastic, see? So here, I'm going to just tie it down just a little bit.
You picture now. Walt Disney walked up to me and said, "Would you like a job there, Pally?"
Would you like a job there, Pally? So I want to give him a bigger, just a slightly bigger nostril.
How do you know if stretching proportions is going too far?
Yeah, I quite often I don't go far enough. I've taught myself. I don't have the time to do it here, but I've taught myself to push actually beyond what I think beyond what it should be. You can always come back. There we go. Right here, I want it to fit. There, like that. There's the muzzle.
Coming a bit late to the stream, how come we're getting it today? Today's Friday.
Today's Friday.
Today's Friday, there, bud.
Today's Friday, bud. We do streams on Friday. There's the forehead. That feeds into fur there, and I know if let's look at the fur on a real lion. There's a lot of different patterns, but there are similarities from lion to lion. You can see that every lion has this. You can't see the ears. See how there's a bunch of fur, and it tends to be a little bit more orange in front of the ears. Right here, you get this like these sideburns right here. And then you've got the fur of the neck. And so that's what I want to do here. I want to get this, and that's what I was indicating right here, are these sideburns.
By the way, the live streams over the weekend, are both of those at 1 p.m. as well?
I've got one with Manny Carrasco. That's going to be at noon Eastern time for me. It'll be 9 a.m. for those on the West Coast. There's the ear there. And then, this comes up here. And then I'm going to be doing another one starting at 4:30. This is all on Sunday. But the one on Saturday tomorrow will be at 1 o'clock Eastern time. On Saturday will be at 4:30 Eastern.
So Saturday will be 1, and then Sundays with Manny, and then the second.
We're gonna do one at noon to 1:30, or to 1 o'clock and noon to 1:30. Oh no, it's noon for them. Anyway, yes. YouTube question: what did you have in your animation portfolio to show Disney to get hired? Well, I didn't know animation. See, this is a different time. I was trained as an illustrator. And Disney was looking to see if they could train non-animation artists how to animate. So I just put together a portfolio of figure drawings, human figure, and animal drawings. And I was judged on that. And from that, they decided that they would give me a chance. And so I went in and I had a 6-week internship with Disney where I trained under Glenn Keane. He took me under his wing and taught me for 6 weeks how to animate. And then at the end of that 6 weeks, I was hired. So here, now as I go through, I'm stylizing it. You can see I'm going through kind of quickly, but I'm drawing real parts. I know I have the knowledge of the wrist, the bones of the wrist, the way the foot comes down, those the bones of the hand that come down through here.
What is an indication that there's a problem in the art direction?
If there's a problem with the art direction,
Yeah.
well,
What would indicate that if there's a bad art direction?
well,
Art
I mean,
direction.
I haven't really done a film where it had bad art direction. So you work on the art direction until it's working right. Now, there's times where the art direction is difficult. You know, when we were doing Mulan, the art direction, the character design on Mulan, the characters were actually very flat. And so it was hard to turn them in space. We had to figure out how we were going to do that. So there's our feet right there. So I've drawn his front legs somewhat thick. But where I'm here, I'm not liking this. I kind of want this nice big mane to come down. There we go. Now I hit something that I feel is good. Oh man, that's right. That's good. See? You make adjustments along the way. Now I've got this nice big, look at this big area of chest and fur and hair. And that's contrasted by these thin lower part, thin hips, but strong legs. And that kind of mimics, you know, if we drew a cartoon human, you could have a guy like so, that's looking off to the right. Hello, he's looking off over here. And if we wanted to do, you could do like a big muscular guy like so.
Kind of reminds me of what was that? What was the that was always the bad guy in Popeye? Bluto, that's it.
Yeah. So really big, and then you got his hands on his hips, and then you can contrast it with. Oops, let me shrink him up because I'm always drawing too big. So you got big, see, big shapes right here like this, down to so. You know, and I'm drawing real graphic. You want to have like graphic shapes working off of each other. Contrast, similarity. When things are even, that's the kiss of death for a design. So you want your designs to have unevenness to them. You know, there's a contrast between the upper body and the lower body. You know, if I draw his head, you know, a character that looks like this. You know, maybe his eyes are here, and his nose is here, and let's see, he's got a big chin. That to me is more interesting than if I drew this and made him more even, more like what a real person would look like. Smaller chin, eyes in the middle of the head.
What would you recommend as the best course to buy from your website that covers caricaturing and exaggerating animals? I feel like I can draw animals realistically quite well, but as soon as I try to exaggerate or cartoonify them, I fail.
Well, I go through a little bit of that in my animal courses, but also my character design course. I hit that. So here I'm smoothing this out. So there, we've basically got down to a body that I think works pretty well. Okay. This week I'm doing 4 streams for Lightbox, so check it out. It's going to be at creatureartteacher.com/LBX2020 for the schedule. Just want to remind you guys of that. So there we are. So there's, we did really quickly in about 20 minutes, 25 minutes or so. And also, notice when when I draw a line up from the knee, it goes right to the break in where that pelvis is. Okay, that's another thing I learned. These are different things you'll learn along the way. I'm trying to keep that flow through the body.
This character should be voiced by Joe Swanson from Family Guy. If I recall that he's the one that's in the wheelchair. Hey, baby, look at me. I'm a lion. Roar.
All right, so there's our lion. Now, this is a general body proportion that we got, and we can definitely, if I wanted to, we could go, okay, now that we got kind of an idea in our head. See, this is where, once I start getting something that I like, then you can start, let's do some gestures. Let's see.
For cartoony animals. Paula Glavis says, if you want to learn how to draw cartoon animals, I recommend drawing cartoon animals with Tim Hodge.
Yeah.
I bought the course and it's really amazing. So there you go. For caricaturing and cartooning, just get the Tim Hodge course.
So here I'm having, you can have this big head coming in like so. Here, maybe I'll bring the foot up here. The other one back.
Did I already ask the freelance question?
Nope.
Is it possible to get freelance work as a character designer?
Absolutely. I've done tons of freelance work as a character designer.
Don't
So
you still do
here,
that once in a while?
see here I'm doing a gesture. There, see? Based on this guy. What'd you say, Dustin?
I was saying, don't you still do some freelancing character design?
Not so much anymore. Now the business, our educational business, has really taken over.
That's true.
So there, now once you get a design in your head, then you can start doing these fun little gestures. Look at that. Get something really fluid. Put his male parts in there, maybe not.
Man, I'm pretty.
So now, if I want to tie that down, see, I tried it whenever I'm drawing my characters. I start with a gesture like this, so that I can then go in. Oops. And then go in and start tying it down. See there? I can still do it, keep it quick at first. See there? So I'll go in and I'll do lots and lots of drawings like this. And what I'll do is I'll discover, as I do this, I'm going to discover what works and what doesn't. So he's got his paw and a hyena. So I'll try to do as many body drawings and attitudes as I can first, and then once I get kind of a handle on that, look how quickly I'm going. I'm trying really hard. First of all, I'm enabled to do this through the research first. You do it enough, it's become second nature.
Free mode activated.
And then once I start getting a handle on that, then I'll go in and start doing expressions. YouTube question, do you have a course on how to draw the same character in movement and different views? I can't do a model sheet if my life depended on it. I do cover model sheets in my character design course, yes. Well, once again, you can do it if you spend enough time drawing that character. Eventually that character will become real and you'll be able to see it from any angle in your head. Okay? But you need to spend enough time with it. That's the key. There we go. So now maybe let's draw.
Hey, Detlef is here.
Hey, Detlef.
Says the one in the upper left is so regal. It does look very regal.
So now let's do some expressions. So I liked having that. I liked having that kind of knot part in the nose. Now, I was talking about how I would talk about a brow. Now, in humans, we've become very used to seeing the brow and how that relates to expression. And so I tend to put a brow on my animal characters because it helps with attitude. Already, I haven't even drawn the eyes in, but you can see in this drawing, you can already kind of see the attitude.
That expression.
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 See, just drawing through, and I'll do hundreds of drawings like this as I'm designing characters. That big mane way out there.
Big man.
Is there any expressions you could find particularly difficult to draw?
Yeah, I mean, there. I try to feel the expression as I'm drawing it. I don't use mirrors or anything like that, like some people think I do. We do as animators. Most animators I know don't use mirrors. That's just kind of some do, some don't. All the animators I know, they feel it. Glenn Keane, when I worked with Glenn, he never used a mirror. He just always tell me, feel the expression. So there.
Did Snow Bear start this way?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, Snow Bear started. Let me show you. Let's go back to my keynote. And Snow Bear, here's some Snow Bear stuff. It started out with me drawing real polar bears. This is stuff I was doing in Procreate. I was sketching on my iPad in Procreate, and I was sitting at night. I couldn't go to the Arctic to draw real bears, so I would download documentaries on polar bears. I'm kind of against just pulling down photographs off of Google. I want to see the animals moving. I want to see them in different dimensions. If I can't see them in person, then I'll watch video. That's my preferred mode of study. And so I went through and I did a lot of drawings like this of real polar bears. I already had I'd already directed Brother Bear, so I already had a lot of bear knowledge in my head. But then I went and I wanted to do something just a little bit more realistic, and so I did this bear walking, and I really focused on getting the musculature, getting the head bob back and forth, just wanting to understand that bear more and more. Once I understood the bear from a realistic standpoint through doing this, then I started designing. And like I was saying earlier, I start to whittle down and simplify, but still hold on to the things that say bear, or to say, polar bear more specifically. And that's what I was doing here. And so, matter of fact, here, look at this. So, here is a bear, but this is a grizzly bear. Look at the size of this skull. And a grizzly bear has that big head on top and a forehead right here, and then their snout.
The snout.
And a snout.
Yeah.
Now here is a polar bear. Here's a difference.
Bigger.
Big head on top. It is bigger. But look at the forehead. It's pretty much non-existent. It's just kind of a slope that goes into so their head is much smoother on top. That's very much a polar bear trait. And so you can see that that's what I put into the designs. Look at the profile there, second from the right. How there's really not much of a forehead at all. Well, that's just off of, learning from that skull and watching the videos of what makes a polar bear. And then from there, then I started to just storyboard him and his world and just get a sense of who he is. I then went in and thumbnailed out some ideas of him building a snowman, or snow bear, I should say. And through doing that, it forces me to draw him in positions and angles that maybe I hadn't done before, but I'm still keeping that animal, the anatomy knowledge that I've just learned. And then here he is in his world. And so I can take all of that, and now I start to apply it to the story, and we've got something that plays right, And so then I would also do, here's a little section here where he's looking at the stars. Just little test pieces of animation that I would do. Little character drawings. Here he is running in. Some of you guys have probably seen this, but this is, trying to come up with attitude. And you can see his design kind of changed. I ended up giving him more forehead. And I'd probably go back and adjust that when I do the real film, so I could get him back on model. But anyway, so that's where that ended up. Do you ever draw anthropomorphic animals? If so, how much do you differ from the standard animal approach? Yes, I do draw anthropomorphic. That's a good idea. Let's say we wanted to do a lion now that's more human. Let's say we have a world of lions like Robin Hood. So we might have a lion like Robin Hood that's a bit more designy. Like so. But here, what I would do, I would still keep my knowledge of real world lions and just apply it to a much more anthropomorphic character. So let's say we have this. I'm not doing very well with it, but we have this anthropomorphic lion, much more designy, and he's standing now. I would think of a human, but now I'm going to give him maybe a longer torso. I still want it to feel lion-like.
You know what vibe he's giving right now? Shere Khan.
Oh yeah.
Bravo.
Bravo. But here, I'm drawing the same types of rhythms. Even like Tigger. Tigger's a really cartoon character, but there's real tiger in there. I know the shoulders are pushed forward. There, see? So here I can take a hand and a cat and kind of blend the two together. Because I know the dew claw is here. And I know that they've just got shortened versions of our own fingers. Look at that. So now we've got a cat hand that's a bit more pushed. And so that's, you know, one of the great scenes in The Lion King that Andreas Deja, who animated Scar, was when he had the mouse. And the mouse was running around in his hand. And that paw was so cat-like, but so human at the same time. So just understanding that anatomy, you can come in and create something really quickly that's got, you know, a bit more cartooniness to it. That's what they did so well in Zootopia, right? Maybe he has a little bit of a mane. Hey guys, how's it going?
You give him a mullet.
Yeah.
A lion with a mullet mane.
Job in the front, party in the back.
So there you go. And once again, I want to remind you, if you're just come in, we've got a lot more stuff over at creatureartteacher.com/LBX2020. Got our prints there and all kinds of stuff. My course on how to draw birds of prey has just come out for pre-order. So we got that. Here I'm going to bring that brow over a little bit more. See, look at there. So once again, this is a much more cartoony lion than the other one, right? But actually I'm going to do this. I want to get a little bit more flow. Maybe pull it back this way and give it more on this side because it's on his back. Oh no, maybe not. Maybe not. I'll just pull it out here. There we go. That starts to feel good. So now we've got, if we look at the basic shape, it all kind of flows in. See there? Got this nice flow to it. So it's all about taking that knowledge. Once again, I'm gonna wrap this up here. I'm actually about 10 minutes over. Taking that knowledge and adjusting it to the needs that you have for whatever it is that you're designing for. In this case, we're designing lions, 2 different art directions right here in about 30 minutes we did. So once again, so this might be something like, what's the DreamWorks one from the zoo when they break away from the zoo?
Madagascar?
Madagascar. Ben Stiller.
I like to move and move it.
Yeah, look how designy that was, but that was pure lion. Ben Stiller's character.
Bit off subject, but how's the situation with the COVID there?
That is off subject completely. Just like it is around the rest of the world.
I mean, we're streaming Lightbox and not attending it.
Exactly. So, don't feel like you have to ask every question, Dustin.
By the way, Nick says that we're on till 3 o'clock.
Oh, we're on till 3. Oh, okay, good. I
So
couldn't
it's-
remember. I thought we were an hour and a half today, so we're good.
Yeah, so we got another 20 minutes.
So here, and I find the more designy characters are kind of fun because I get to play with shape a little bit more. So look at this guy. Just let that, but still, I'm still thinking about a cheekbone in here. You know, that jaw comes back like so. Still thinking about that underneath. Here's the brow. Maybe I'll bring that mane up just a little bit more. That way I won't have a tangent with that ear sticking up. There. Maybe give him a little snarl.
It says this kind of feels like King John.
Yeah, that was the original idea. I'm giving him a bigger mane. King John didn't really have a mane at all.
Well,
Pulling that shoulder in.
but King John was the king at the very end, right?
Oh, was it? Oh, I can't remember.
I think it was King George. That was a mommy.
Yeah.
Was that the one you were thinking of?
Yeah. Saya. There. Draw those paws in like so. You can get into any kind of little position you want.
Who's your favorite Robin Hood character?
Probably Robin Hood. That was Milk Call. Just so good.
I always loved Little John.
Yeah.
The bear.
I like him too. The rooster is great. The narrator.
Oh yeah. Also the sheriff.
YouTube question: do you study everything about the bear like under structure, or do you just study the bare necessities? I just threw up a little bit in my mouth.
Yeah, when it comes to Robin Hood, probably one of my favorites of voice actors wise from back then is the sheriff.
Oh yeah.
He also is was it Napoleon in Aristocats? Wait a minute, I'm the leader. I'm the one that says when we go.
There.
Oh, it was Prince John and King Richard.
Prince John, that's what it
Prince
was.
John.
Not King John. Prince John. Thank you. Thank you for correcting us on the stuff that we should know.
Right.
But here I'm pushing straights against curves. And straight against curve. Another little design element.
Oh, that's awesome. Christina Rosgan says, just pre-order Birds of Prey. Huzzah!
Huzzah!
Huzzah! Ready to convert what I learned to make Pokemon.
There you go.
Looking forward to seeing what you create.
I had a definite Matthew McConaughey twang to it. Looking to see what you looking at.
All right. Looking forward to it.
All right, so there you go. Once again, trying to find that fluidity, and then maybe we go.
I know I have to do hundreds of versions of a design before choosing one, but when I find something that works fine at the second drawing, then I have no more ideas and it feels awkward to keep looking like I'm trying stuff just for the sake of trying. Is this feeling normal?
Yes. It's just you falling in love with your first sketch. Draw over and force yourself to try something different. Different proportions. But once again, when you understand who the character is, if you take the time to do that too. then that'll, whoops, I don't want to mess up that silhouette. Then that will also help, which I'm sure you're doing. I'm not, don't want to be condescending, but it's definitely one of those things where the more you do it, the better you'll get at it.
Hi guys.
So here's one where I'm like I said, someone asked how far is it? You know, how far do you go before it's pushed too far? And here I'm pushing it as far as I possibly can. Right there. Roar.
Hi guys.
Hi.
Hope you're well. I am really learning a lot today, so thank you. When designing an animal character, but as a human personality, like the characters in Zootopia and Robin Hood, do you just concentrate on the animal anatomy, or do you need to combine it with the knowledge of human anatomy?
You do. You have to combine it, but that's where it comes down to comparative anatomy. We all have the same parts. As a lion has the same parts as me, I have the same parts as a lion. Or in the case of Zootopia, I have the same parts as a water buffalo or a giraffe. And it's understanding how those parts relate to each other in order to hit the posing that becomes believable for anthropomorphic characters. Okay? So, like in this picture right here, this lion, you know, here because of the way he's standing, he has arms, right? But these are front paws. You know, I'm taking everything that's a lion and I'm kind of converting it to a human, the way a human would stand, but as a lion, okay, with lion proportions. And I'm able to do that because I understand the way they translate. What part is which, okay? Did Disney let you and the other animators keep their original animation after the film was released in theaters? No. That was all, it's all Disney property. I was, at the end of every movie, they did allow us to have 2 scenes, 2 rough shots that we animated, as long as they weren't like major shots in the film that they would use later for promotion. Then we were able to do that. So I've got several shots from The Lion King and Beauty and the Beast and that sort of thing that I've got in my closet over here. So there we go. So we've got about 10 minutes, and man, I hate this one as I'm looking at it now. But that's the thing. I push this jaw way out, pull this down here. You draw, and it's all about adjustments. You make adjustments. So now, see, look at this. Look at the original there. Look how rough that looked. But then I went in and I added some stuff to it. There's that. Now let's knock this back. See if we can do this. Knock this back a little bit. So we're going from having done this real lion. Where was it? This one? There he is. Look at the gesture there. That guy. These all feel really kind of realistic now, don't they? Compared to how far we pushed it. And we thought it was, this is the thing. That's one of the things I want you to learn is, as we look at this felt pushed to me 30 minutes ago. But now, after doing this guy, now the other lion looks real. And that's the thing. Your perception, to the person that was asking earlier about after you do 2 or 3 designs, you don't know what to do. You just got to force yourself to keep drawing, because you will discover, as you look back on what you did, your ideas will grow and morph. So I'm just going to tie this one down a little bit more. I like doing those big nostrils. Oh yes, it's ladies' night. It's Friday, man. It's Friday.
The banter is awesomely entertaining as always, but what? No singing?
I just started singing. Sang a little Cool in the Gang. One of the founding members of Kool and the Gang passed away the other day. So I've had Kool and the Gang on my brain. That's the band, one of the bands of my childhood.
Did they do any songs I know of?
Oh yes, it's ladies' night.
Oh, that was them?
Yeah.
Oh, what a night.
Yes. All right, so now I want to get in. Oops, wow, look at that. Blew it right up. I want to get in here. And now when I go, I'm going to go a little more detailed. And I like drawing the pupil. The pupil just gives it a little more character.
It needs more.
Cowbell.
You gotta give a little more cowbell.
Cowbell. Boop, boop. Just a little bit right there.
Actually, Clark says, recently got my very first on-screen tablet, and it's been fantastic.
Awesome. So here's another thing I want to point out. I'm doing unevenness throughout the body proportions, the big head going down through the body, but also in the face I try to push unevenness. Notice how I've got a big area of detail, a small area of detail with the eyes. Everything's really kind of compressed together in this area where I want everything to draw the eye in. But then you get to the snout and the cheeks and I open it up to less detail out here.
Meanwhile, back to the rest of the body.
Take a little notch out of his ear. He's a fighter.
He's a fighter.
He's a fighter, eh?
He's wicked smart.
Wicked smart. So here, this would be kind of my final, what I would consider my final tie down. I was doing some designs for a studio.
Which do you feel is more natural to draw on, Cintiq or an iPad?
Cintiq is a little bit more for me. I like drawing big, and I'm so used to drawing big on my Cintiq. When I go to an iPad, I feel like I'm drawing on a postage stamp.
Postage stamp?
Yeah. I have a question. Got any advice for drawing feline eyes? Yes. Cats all look like they have mascara on. And getting that dark around the eyes is very important. I'm going to try something here real quick. What if we pulled that mane out a little bit?
So what's the next big project?
Snow Bear.
Snow Bear.
I got to get Snow Bear done. Now that we got the Birds of Prey course done, we're going to jump over and get some work going on Snow Bear. Yeah, see, I like surrounding that face. Right here. And yeah, that feels better. We got a nice surrounding the face with the mane. Feels better to me. So you just make little adjustments. Adjustments? I just said adjustments.
Adjustments?
Adjustments as you go.
You've got to set up some adjustments. Make sure it's
There we
not
go.
in a lift.
Oh, don't!
Oh, I was going to say it's going to be in Scotland.
So there we go. So once again, whoops. Oh, feline eyes. So, you know, if a cat has an eye like so. This is a round eye. But they have a lid, upper lid, just like we do. Corner to the eye, lower lid, corner to the eye. Now some cats, have more of a slit than other cats. Now that eyelid is going to cast a shadow across the eye. But we've got dark. Dark. Yeah, dark. Around the eye. It comes down this duct area. They have eyelashes too. Now, a lot of cats, and then here, we're going to erase this out now that you understand what's under there. This is all kind of like an overhang to provide shade for the eyes. It usually comes back like so. And then there's like this teardrop mark above the eye. On this guy, it would be up here. If you look at real lions, let me show you a real lion. See that little teardrop? Let me go back to the face. More of a portrait. There. See that teardrop mark right above the eye? A lot of cats have that. So that's key. So we've got these big dark mascara looking markings. Let me go back. This. See there? And see how that it overhangs the eye? See how much it overhangs? Look at the eyelashes on the other side. See those eyelashes sticking out?
Yep.
So here I'm actually not even overlapping it enough. Not even doing it enough. So this week I'm doing 3 more streams. Tomorrow I'm going to be doing 4-legged locomotion in animation. Then Sunday we got 2 more. We're going to be talking about with Mandy Carrasco and Expedition Art. We're going to get together and talk about wildlife in Yellowstone and some of our experiences there. And then I'm going to be going in and talking about photographic textures in character, doing character designs. So there's that teardrop coming off. And if you want, you could go, hey, let's reflect a little sky. This eye.
I came for Aaron's heart, but was unprepared for Dustin's amazing accents and singing. Makes me laugh. You're very welcome there, lassie.
A little reflection right here.
Okay, I have a question.
Maybe here we get a little bit of reflection in the darkness of the eye right there. And then here it's going to get really kind of hot.
Ready for another question?
Yep.
Once you have nailed down the approved character, how difficult is it to maintain the look of the character in different poses?
By then, so there's our eye right there. By the time you got your character design finished, it's not hard at all because you've drawn that character 100 times inside and out. And then as we go, as we're creating the movies, every scene that we do that has maybe portrays that character in a prominent way, we'll Xerox those poses or print them out. In this case, because we're not doing it on paper anymore. And then we put those up and we save them as reference. And so by the end of the movie, you've got a whole bunch of designs or drawings of that character. We use them as reference for other animators that might be animating that character. And you know that character inside and out by that point. I always say, when I finish a movie, I've drawn that character just enough at the end of the movie that I'm ready to animate the movie. But it's always too late.
In a movie, what if one character has extremely exaggerated features and another more close to reality? That might translate to them.
That would be an example for
shows.
Well, let's see exactly. That would be an example of bad art direction for me.
And who decides how exaggerated a group of characters' features should be to be unified for a movie?
That's the director and the art director. But you don't see something that's realistic and then something that's super cartoony unless that's a story point for the design. Otherwise, it's just bad design.
One of the few I think that pulls it off is Spider-Verse, because each of the
Yeah, but they're meant to be. They literally are meant to be 3 different art-directed worlds.
Exactly.
Or 4 or 5 or whatever it was.
Exactly, and they were able to merge them all together so seamlessly.
Yeah, but that was the whole point of it, was that they looked nothing alike.
Right. But I think that's the kind of point that we're gonna ask of, like, trying to mix different features together, like different
Right.
designs together for a single movie, in that kind of style. We're done.
So there you go. There's our pushed lion going from. Well, let's just turn it off. Let's back up. So here's a real lion right here, right? There he is. And taking this information, this would be my research and understanding the character from a writing standpoint, who the character is in the movie. I would then go in and start designing. And in these first few, where am I? Here, there we are. And there. There's that first one that we did, which felt really kind of designed. And this is, compared to a real lion, this is somewhat of this is something that would sit in the Lion King world, I think. Maybe this is even a little too real. We'd have to take another pass at pushing it back a little bit. But you go from this, which felt designy at the time, like I said, and then when I get to that point, then I started playing with gestures and trying to come up with different poses and really explore those proportions and have fun with it. But then we jumped ahead and we went, okay, well, let's push it even more. And we ended up with something like this. But it all stems from understanding the real world character first, right? Do that research. I don't care, like I said, I don't care if you're animating if you do the research, you're going to bring stuff to the table that you never thought of before, and it'll be believable. It'll be you're blending real world with the fantasy, and you're creating something that can sit on its own, and you can immerse your audience into it. So it's really cool. So once again, I want to remind you guys, go on over to creatureartteacher.com/LBX. LBX, yeah? Oh, yeah. Is it LBX? Yeah. 2020. And you'll have our entire schedule there, and a whole bunch of deals, all the really cool deals that we're giving you, including the posters as well. We've got some great posters that, some good images that I'm pretty happy with. I've been wanting to share with people.
Yeah.
So do you have those
the print?
Yeah, the slides?
Well, I have the print slide.
Yeah, that one right there. So the prints, yep, we got that. And so go on over, check that out. And then finally, today is our first day that we have our How to Draw Birds of Prey course, where you can order it in pre-order. We're going to be getting it out in the next couple of weeks, but you can get it in pre-order now for 50% off. It'll save you a bunch of money, saves you $35. That's right, a bunch of money. And so anyway, I hope you guys learned something today. I really enjoy kind of taking my experiences of the last 30 years and boiling them down and sharing them with you guys, and hopefully you can take some information away from that and run with it and take it to the next generation. That's always been my goal. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys again tomorrow, and so have a great night, have a fun Friday, stay safe, put some beauty back into the world, and I will see you tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern.
Hey guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Glad you guys enjoyed this stream. And if any of you guys are interested in wildlife photography, you can check out my Instagram at Dustin_Blaise if you haven't checked that out already. And also on Creature Art Teacher, I got my photo reference packs out there for some river otters, alligators, and a couple of Florida birds, so on and so forth. So you can go over there and see those. And we'll see you guys over this weekend and further into this Lightbox event. And until then, Cowboy Bebop.
Right on! Right on!